Hey, welcome back to Shift. I'm Elliot, and this is the place where we take the keyboard shortcuts you use every single day, those little muscle memory clicks, and turn them into tools for a better life. If you're new here, the concept is simple. We're all trying to upgrade our operating systems, right? We're trying to be better parents, better partners, better workers, just better humans. But personal growth can feel heavy. It can feel complicated. So I like to keep it simple. I like to think of it as hitting a key. Today, we are revisiting a classic key, but we're looking at it from a totally different angle. We're talking about Ctrl Z. Now, usually when we think of Ctrl Z, we think about regret. We think about undoing a mistake we feel guilty about. But today I want to talk about something slightly different. I want to talk about the thing that stops us from making the mistake in the first place. I want to talk about perfectionism. Let me ask you a question. How many drafts do you have sitting in your life right now? I don't just mean email drafts. I mean dreams you haven't started because you aren't ready yet. The hobby you won't pick up because you don't have the right gear. The conversation you're avoiding because you don't know the perfect words to say. I was watching my 5-year-old, Clara, the other day. She loves to draw. She's in this phase where she wants to draw family portraits. She had her crayons lined up like little soldiers. She picked up a blue one, stared at the blank white paper for a solid 2 minutes, and then she started to cry. I went over, panic mode initiated, asking, "Clara, honey, what's wrong? Did you hurt your finger?" And she looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and said, "Daddy, I don't know how to draw the perfect circle for Mommy's head." She hadn't even made a mark on the paper yet. The fear of doing it wrong was stopping her from doing it at all. And I laughed, kindly, of course, and gave her a hug. But inside, I felt that. Oh man, did I feel that. How many times have I stared at a blank screen or a blank week on the calendar, paralyzed because I didn't know how to make it perfect? Today, we're going to hit Ctrl Z on that mindset. We're going to learn how to undo the need for perfection so we can actually start living. So let's get nerdy for a second. Let's look at the tech. On your computer, Ctrl Z is the undo command. It reverses your last action. If you delete a paragraph by accident, Ctrl Z, it's back. If you paste an image and it ruins your formatting, Ctrl Z, gone. But here is the crucial thing about the undo function that we often overlook. The existence of Ctrl Z is what gives us the courage to create. Imagine if you were using a typewriter. I know I'm dating myself here, or maybe I'm just being a hipster, but bear with me. On a typewriter, every key press is permanent. Ink hits paper. If you mess up, you have to use whiteout or rip the page up and start over. When the cost of a mistake is that high, you type slowly. You overthink every word. You're terrified of the keys. Modern software with the undo function gave us freedom. It told us, hey, try this. If it sucks, just undo it. No big deal. Ctrl Z isn't just a correction tool. It's a permission slip. It's permission to be messy. It's permission to create a version 1.0 that is absolutely full of bugs, knowing you can patch it later. In our lives, perfectionism tries to convince us that we are operating on a typewriter. It tells us that every decision is permanent, that if we launch the business and it fails, it's over, that if we say the wrong thing in a meeting, our career is torched, that if we aren't the perfect parent today, we've ruined our kids forever. Perfectionism says, get it right the first time, or don't do it at all. But the Ctrl Z mindset says, make a mess, then fix it. I used to work with software developers, and they have this concept called iterative design. They never, ever try to release perfect software on day one. It's impossible. They release a beta version. They know it's going to crash. They know users will find glitches, but they release it anyway. Why? because you can't fix something that doesn't exist. You can't improve a blank page. Applying Ctrl Z to perfectionism means giving yourself permission to live in beta mode. It means acknowledging that your first attempt at anything, a new diet, a relationship talk, a painting, is going to be buggy, and that is okay. Let's dive a little deeper into this. I want to talk about 3 specific ways perfectionism hacks our system and how we can use this Ctrl Z mindset to reboot. Point number 1, you can't steer a parked car. There's this writer I love, looking at the blank page, who said, "I can fix a bad page. I can't fix a blank page." I remember when I first started freelancing, I had to send cold pitch emails to editors. I was terrified. I convinced myself that if the subject line wasn't witty, brilliant, and professional all at once, they would blacklist me from the industry forever. I spent, and I am not exaggerating, 4 hours writing one email. 4 hours. I was tweaking commas, I was changing hi to hello, back to hi. And you know what happened? By the time I sent it, the position was filled. My perfectionism didn't improve my work. It actually prevented me from doing the work. If I had the Ctrl Z mindset back then, I would have realized that a good enough email sent at 10 a.m. is infinitely better than a perfect email sent 3 days too late. Perfectionism is often just procrastination wrapped in a fancy suit. It feels like we're having high standards, but really, we're just scared. We need to be willing to type the bad sentence. We need to be willing to have the awkward first date. You have to put something on the page so you have something to work with. This brings me to point number 2, the spotlight effect. One of the main reasons we crave perfection is because we think everyone is watching us. We think life is a stage and there's a massive spotlight following us around. If we trip, if we stutter, if we fail, we imagine the audience booing. Psychologists actually call this the spotlight effect. It's a cognitive bias where we overestimate how much other people notice our behavior or appearance. Here's a quick story. A few years ago, before the kids, I went to a gym class. It was one of those high-intensity interval things where everyone looks like a fitness model except you. I was feeling incredibly self-conscious. I was trying to do this complex jump squat move, and I totally wiped out. I mean, feet in the air, loud thud, water bottle rolling across the floor. I laid there for a second, mortified. I thought I'd Ctrl Z my entire existence. I thought, that's it. I'm the clumsy guy. Everyone is laughing. I looked up, and nobody was looking at me. Everyone was too busy trying not to die during their own squats. They were focused on their own struggle. We delay launching our projects or sharing our art because we're afraid of the critics. But the truth is, most people aren't critics. Most people are just thinking about what they're going to have for lunch. When you realize the spotlight isn't on you, the pressure to be perfect evaporates. You can just be a person, trying things, undoing when it doesn't work, and moving on. And finally, point number 3, perfectionism creates fragility. This goes back to my daughter, Clara, and the circle. If I teach my kids, or myself, that things have to be perfect, I'm teaching them that they are fragile. I'm teaching them that their worth is tied to their output. If the drawing is bad, I am bad. But if we embrace the Ctrl Z mindset, we teach resilience. When Lucy, my 3-year-old, spills juice, which happens approximately 5 times a day, I have a choice. I can sigh and get frustrated, reinforcing that mess is bad, or I can say, uh-oh, glitch in the system, let's hit undo. And we grab a towel and wipe it up. The spill isn't a crisis, it's just data. It tells us, don't put the cup on the edge of the table. There's this great story about a ceramics teacher. He split his class into 2 groups. Group A was told they would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. 50 pounds of pots got an A, 40 pounds got a B, and so on. Group B was told they would be graded on quality. They only had to produce one pot, but it had to be perfect. When grading time came, a curious thing happened. The highest quality pots were actually produced by the group that was graded on quantity. Why? Because the quantity group was busy churning out piles of work and making piles of mistakes. They learned from every ugly pot. They iterated. They hit Ctrl Z 100 times on the clay wheel. The quality group sat around theorizing about perfection, and in the end, they had little more than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. To get to the good stuff, you have to be willing to churn out a lot of bad stuff first. So we know perfectionism is a trap. We know we need to embrace the beta version of life. But how do we actually do that when the anxiety kicks in? Here are 3 quick action steps to help you hit Ctrl Z on perfectionism this week. Step 1. The B- target. If you are a recovering perfectionist, you probably aim for an A+ in everything. The problem is, an A+ takes 100% of your energy. I want you to intentionally aim for B- work in low-stakes areas. Write the email, but don't triple-check it. Fold the laundry, but don't worry if the corners don't match perfectly. Cook dinner, but use the jarred sauce instead of making it from scratch. Prove to your brain that the world doesn't end when you do average work. Save your A+ energy for the 1% of things that truly matter. Step 2. The 2-minute ugly start. If you're procrastinating on a big project because you want it to be perfect, force yourself to work on it for just 2 minutes with one rule. You have to do it badly. Writing a report? Write the worst opening sentence possible. Cleaning the garage? Just throw one box in the middle of the room. Break the seal. Once the page isn't blank, the fear goes away. Step 3. Change your vocabulary. When you mess up, stop saying, "I'm such an idiot." Start using tech language. Say, "Oops, glitch in the matrix," or "Okay, that was a failed beta test, version 2.0 coming up." It sounds silly, but it detaches your identity from the mistake. It makes the error mechanical, not moral. All right, friend, it's time to put this into practice. Here is your challenge for the week. I call it the intentional mess. I want you to do one thing this week badly on purpose. Maybe you go for a run, but you don't track your time or pace. You just jog awkwardly and slow. Maybe you draw a picture with your kids or by yourself and you refuse to use an eraser. Maybe you send a text to a friend without overthinking the wording. Just type and send. Whatever it is, I want you to feel that little spike of anxiety, that voice saying, "This isn't good enough," and I want you to ignore it. Press the key, do the thing. Teach your brain that it is safe to be imperfect. I really hope this episode gives you a little bit of breathing room today. I hope it helps you look at your unfinished projects and your messy kitchen not as failures, but just as works in progress. Remember, even the best software in the world gets updated constantly. You are allowed to be a work in progress too. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If this episode clicked for you, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend who is being a little too hard on themselves lately. Tell them to listen to the part about the ceramics class. Next time on Shift, we're moving from the past to the future. We're talking Ctrl P, print. We're going to discuss why dreams and ideas are great, but why they don't become real until you put them into the physical world. We're talking deadlines, accountability, and making it real. You won't want to miss that. Until then, keep it light, keep it real, and remember, sometimes all you need is a little shift.